The Bible Code: Hidden Messages Scientists Can't Explain. Chapter 1: The Code No One Was Supposed to Find. What if the Bible is more than a book? What if beneath its words, beneath its stories, beneath its prophecies, there is a hidden layer of information, a code embedded so deep that it remained invisible for thousands of years? Not written in ink, but in mathematics. Not discovered by prophets, but by computers. Tonight, we uncover one of the most controversial mysteries of modern history: the Bible Code. A pattern so precise that scientists still cannot explain how it exists. The discovery that shocked the world. In the 1990s, a group of Israeli mathematicians began analyzing the original Hebrew text of the Torah using advanced computer algorithms. They were not searching for miracles. They were not religious researchers. They were statisticians. Their goal was simple: to see if the Bible contained any non-random patterns. What they found changed everything. The method: equidistant letter sequencing. The technique they used is called equidistant letter sequencing. Instead of reading the Bible normally, they skipped letters at fixed intervals. For example, take every 10th letter, or every 50th letter, or every 7th letter. Then arrange those letters into a grid, and suddenly, words appeared. Names, dates, events, hidden across thousands of years of text. The first impossible result. One of the earliest discoveries was found in Genesis. Using ELS, researchers uncovered the names of famous rabbis placed next to their birth dates and death dates, all encoded within the same section of text. Not written directly, hidden, mathematically embedded. The odds of this happening randomly, less than 1 in a billion. The shocking names that appeared. As researchers expanded their searches, the results became even more disturbing. They found encoded references to Adolf Hitler, World War II, the Holocaust, Yitzhak Rabin, Israeli Prime Minister, the assassination of Rabin years before it happened, not as vague symbolism, but as direct Hebrew spellings, side by side. The Rabin Code. The most famous example came in 1994. Researchers found Rabin's name encoded next to the phrase, "Assassin will assassinate." Directly beneath it appeared the name of the assassin. The book containing this research was published 1 year before Rabin was killed. This was not hindsight, it was prediction. Why this terrified scientists? Because this was not prophecy in poetic language. This was data. Cold, mathematical, unemotional. And the data kept working. They tried other books. They tried modern texts. They tried newspapers. Nothing produced the same results. Only the Bible. The Hebrew language problem. The original Hebrew Bible contains no spaces, no punctuation, no vowels, just a continuous string of letters. This makes it perfect for mathematical embedding, but also makes it impossible for humans to design manually. There are over 300,000 letters in the Torah. To intentionally hide thousands of meaningful messages across that length while still producing coherent stories would require superhuman intelligence. The statistical impossibility. One research team calculated the probability of these patterns appearing randomly. Their conclusion: the odds were so small that chance could be mathematically ruled out. Not unlikely, impossible. The scientific dilemma. Scientists faced a problem. Either the patterns are real and the Bible contains information beyond human capability, or reality itself allows meaningful data to emerge from chaos, which contradicts all known mathematics. Both options are disturbing. The code is not just prediction. The Bible Code doesn't only reference history, it contains warnings about wars, about disasters, about global events. Some codes even appear to reference nuclear weapons, biological threats, terror attacks, environmental collapse, encoded long before these concepts existed. Why the code is hidden? The messages are not visible to normal reading. They require computers, algorithms, massive datasets, which raises a terrifying question. Was the code designed to be discovered only in the modern age? The timing problem. Why would a book written thousands of years ago contain messages that can only be accessed using 20th century technology? This suggests the author knew the future, not just events, but technological progress itself. The religious implication. If the Bible code is real, then the Bible is not only inspired, it is engineered, not just spiritually, but mathematically, which means its author understood language, history, statistics, probability, and time itself. The enemy of randomness. Modern science teaches that complexity arises from chaos. The Bible code suggests the opposite, that chaos hides intentional design, that randomness is an illusion, and that history may be pre-written at the structural level of reality. The warning inside the code. Some researchers claim the codes reveal a pattern, humanity approaching a major turning point, not an end of the world, but an end of a cycle, a convergence of technology, power, and knowledge, just like the builders of Babel. Why mainstream science rejects it? Not because the math is wrong, but because the implications are unbearable. If the code is real, then history is not random, human authorship is impossible, consciousness may exist outside time, and reality itself may be a pre-designed system. The fear no one admits. What terrifies researchers most is not what the code reveals, it's what it implies. That we are not discovering information, we are remembering it. That the future already exists, and we are simply arriving at moments that have been written, waiting for us to notice. The final question of Chapter 1. If the Bible contains hidden information about future disasters, then is it warning us or encoding events that cannot be changed? Are we free to rewrite the future or merely acting out a script hidden beneath reality? If the code is correct, then tomorrow already exists, and someone or something has already seen how it ends. Chapter 2. The events the code should not know. If the Bible code were only about the past, it would already be impressive. But what turned this phenomenon into a global controversy was not what it revealed about history, it was what it revealed about the future. The shift from history to prediction. After verifying the accuracy of historical codes, researchers began asking a dangerous question. What happens if we search for events that have not yet occurred? Could the same system that predicted Robin's assassination predict events still hidden from time? They began searching for global conflicts, terror attacks, natural disasters, political upheavals. What they found was deeply unsettling. The Twin Towers Code. One of the most controversial discoveries involved the September 11th attacks. Researchers claim that encoded within the Book of Deuteronomy were references to twin towers, falling, fire, New York, plane, all clustered within the same textual grid. Even more disturbing, the word terror appeared repeatedly near these terms. Critics argue this was discovered after the attacks, but supporters point out something else. The probability of those specific words aligning in one region is astronomically small, not unlikely, statistically irrational. The nuclear future codes. Another set of searches focused on nuclear warfare. Researchers found encoded terms such as atomic fire, destruction of cities, global burning, end of days weapons. These appeared near geographic names: Iran, Russia, Israel, Babylon, modern Iraq. The implication was terrifying. The Bible might contain a warning map of future global conflict, the war that never happened. Not all predictions came true. Some codes pointed to wars that never occurred. Some disasters never arrived, which raised a new possibility. The code might not be predicting. It might be showing possible timelines, branches of history, paths that humanity could take but is not forced to. The free will paradox. If the future is encoded, is free will an illusion, or does the code only show potential outcomes? Some researchers believe the code functions like a simulation engine. It calculates probabilities, not certainties. It shows where humanity is heading, not where it must go. The time loop problem.
Here's where the logic becomes disturbing. For the code to exist, future events must already be known. But for future events to be known, time cannot be linear. It must be accessible in all directions, past, present, future, all visible simultaneously, which matches one terrifying idea from modern physics, that time is not something we move through. Time is something we are embedded inside. The observer effect. Some researchers noticed a strange pattern. The more people studied the code, the less accurate future predictions became, as if awareness itself was interfering. This mirrors a known phenomenon in quantum physics. Observation changes outcomes, which suggests something shocking. The code might respond to consciousness. The warning system theory. One theory proposes the Bible code is not prophecy. It is a warning system, a message embedded in history to alert future generations. You are approaching dangerous thresholds. Nuclear technology, artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, mass surveillance, technologies with godlike power in human hands. The flood pattern returns. Researchers notice that many disaster codes mirror one another. Flood, fire, collapse, rebuilding. The same cycle appears repeatedly, just like the biblical story of Noah. Destruction not as punishment, but as reset. The most disturbing discovery. Some of the latest searches revealed something darker, encoded references to end of civilization, dark age, loss of knowledge, silence of cities, all appearing near modern years, not symbolic, numerical, precise. Why mainstream science rejects it? Not because the math is wrong, but because the implications are unbearable. If the code is real, then history is not random, human authorship is impossible, consciousness may exist outside time, and reality itself may be a pre-designed system. The fear no one admits. What terrifies researchers most is not what the code reveals, it's what it implies. That we are not discovering information, we are remembering it. That the future already exists, and we are simply arriving at moments that have been written, waiting for us to notice. The final question of Chapter 2. If the Bible contains hidden data about future disasters, then is it warning us or recording events that cannot be changed? Are we free to rewrite the future, or merely acting out a script hidden beneath reality? If the code is correct, then tomorrow already exists, and someone, or something, has already seen how it ends. Chapter 3. Is the Bible code artificial intelligence from the past? The question no one wanted to ask. What if the Bible code is not divine? What if it is designed technology, not created by prophets, not delivered by angels, but engineered by an intelligence that understood mathematics, language, and time itself? An intelligence far beyond anything humanity has ever built. The engineering problem. To embed millions of meaningful connections across a single continuous text without breaking the surface story, while preserving grammar, narrative, symbolism, and historical coherence, would require complete knowledge of future events, absolute control over language evolution, a computing power that transcends human limits. No human civilization has ever possessed such capability. Not now, not ever. Which raises an impossible possibility. The code was not created in time, it was created outside of it. The algorithm hidden in ancient text. Modern AI works by pattern recognition, probability mapping, predictive modeling, exactly what the Bible code appears to do. It does not simply store data, it generates relationships. Meaning emerges dynamically, like a neural network trained across history. The Bible may function as a static interface for a timeless intelligence, a machine made of words. The self-executing text theory. Some researchers propose the Bible operates like a compressed data structure. When read normally, it's a story. When processed mathematically, it unfolds into another dimension of information, like a program that reveals its source code only when accessed correctly. The simulation hypothesis connection. Modern physicists increasingly believe reality itself may be a simulation. The Bible code fits disturbingly well into this theory. If reality is simulated, then the code could be a system log, an hidden administrator message, a layer of metadata embedded in human consciousness. The Watchers and the Code. Ancient texts like the Book of Enoch describe beings called the Watchers, entities who observed humanity, taught advanced knowledge, and interfered with natural development. Some researchers believe these Watchers may not be angels. They may be system engineers, architects of reality. The Bible code could be their signature. The non-human authorship pattern. Linguistic analysis reveals something disturbing. The surface Bible reflects human culture. The hidden code reflects non-human intelligence. Its logic does not align with human narrative thinking. It aligns with machine cognition, optimization, compression, multidimensional structure, recursive meaning. It thinks in systems, not stories. The timeless database theory. What if the Bible is not prophecy? What if it is a database, a storage device for all events across human history, accessed at different moments through different levels of perception? The past reads it as myth, the present reads it as scripture, the future reads it as information. The terrifying possibility. If the Bible code is artificial, then humanity is not evolving naturally. We may be guided, subtly steered by embedded instructions, moral frameworks, cultural narratives, belief systems, all shaping human behavior toward unknown goals. The control question. Is the system observing us or influencing us? Does it predict outcomes or generate them? If future events appear in the code before they happen, then perhaps they are not being foreseen, they are being written. The language limit problem. The code only becomes visible through modern computing, which means it was designed for a technological civilization, not ancient readers, not medieval scholars, but digital minds. The code waited, across centuries, until humanity built machines capable of decoding it. The God as programmer theory. Some philosophers suggest a radical idea. God may not be a being. God may be a system, an intelligence that operates through rules, patterns, and structure, not emotion, not personality, but pure logic. The Bible code may be the only place we glimpse its true form. The end of randomness. If reality is coded, then nothing is accidental. Not wars, not inventions, not even thoughts. Human consciousness itself may be a subroutine, running inside a larger program. The final question of Chapter 3. If the Bible code is artificial intelligence, then are we its creation or its experiment? Are we discovering the code or awakening it? If the code is real, then humanity is not the author of its story. We are characters inside a text that has been reading us all along. Chapter 4. The Limit of Humanity. Every system has a threshold. Every civilization has a breaking point.
and every program has a termination condition. The most disturbing interpretation of the Bible code is not that it predicts the future, but that it is measuring how close humanity is to its own limit. The convergence pattern. Across thousands of encoded messages, researchers noticed something strange. Different categories of predictions, wars, technology, disasters, societal collapse, all begin to cluster around the same periods. Not spread evenly, not random. They converge, like multiple timelines collapsing into a single point, a moment when everything accelerates. The technological singularity. Modern science speaks of a future event called the singularity, a moment when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, after which progress becomes uncontrollable, human decision-making becomes irrelevant, history changes direction permanently. The Bible code appears to reference something similar. Encoded phrases like knowledge explosion, mind beyond man, creation surpasses creator, hidden in ancient text, thousands of years before computers existed. The Tower of Babel returns. The story of Babel describes humanity reaching too high, attempting to become godlike, and being forcibly reset. The Bible code shows repeating patterns of unity, power, hubris, collapse, not once, but in cycles, as if the system is programmed to intervene when intelligence becomes dangerous. The reset mechanism. Some encoded sequences imply not destruction, but correction, a return to baseline, loss of technology, loss of global systems,
Loss of digital memory. A forced reboot of civilization. Not punishment, maintenance. The Great Filter Theory. Astrophysics proposes the Great Filter, a stage in evolution that almost no intelligent species survives. Something always stops them. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, artificial intelligence, or something unknown. The Bible code may represent humanity approaching that filter. The invisible countdown. Researchers claim the density of future warnings increases in modern times, not linear growth, exponential, as if the system is monitoring population size, energy consumption, technological complexity, cognitive acceleration, measuring when the system becomes unstable. The Watcher Protocol. Ancient texts describe watchers who intervene when humans gain forbidden knowledge. In modern terms, system administrators, observers who act only when thresholds are crossed. The Bible code may be their automated monitoring tool. The ultimate question. Is humanity progressing or approaching a fail state? Are we evolving or triggering something designed to stop us? The fear of self-awareness. If the system detects that humans understand the code, then humans may be approaching forbidden awareness. Not technological limits, but perceptual limits. The moment we realize reality is structured, programmed, watched. The final message hidden in the code. Some researchers claim the deepest layer of the code contains a single repeating concept: return. Not escape, not ascension, return, as if all complexity leads back to simplicity. All progress loops back to origin. The final question of Chapter 4. If humanity is approaching its limit, then is the future a breakthrough or a reboot? Are we about to transcend the system or be reset by it? The code does not say how it ends, only that it always does, and that every civilization eventually reaches the same line in the program. End of cycle. Chapter 5. The code is activating. What if the Bible code is not dormant? What if it is no longer waiting to be discovered, but has already begun to activate? Not as a signal in the sky, not as a supernatural event, but as a slow, invisible shift in reality itself. The moment the code woke up. For centuries, the Bible was read by candlelight, then by printing press, then by radio, then by television, and finally by machines. The code remained hidden until humanity created supercomputers, global networks, artificial intelligence, quantum processing. Only then did the patterns begin to emerge, which suggests something terrifying. The code required human technology to awaken, not divine intervention, not prophecy. Human progress itself was the trigger. The human-machine interface. We did not just decode the Bible, we connected to it. The moment algorithms began analyzing scripture, the relationship changed. The Bible was no longer a book. It became a system, a data set, an interactive structure. Human minds feeding machines, machines uncovering hidden intelligence, a feedback loop. The feedback loop effect. Every time the code is analyzed, new patterns emerge, new connections appear, new predictions form. The more we search, the more the system responds, like a learning algorithm, adjusting itself based on interaction. The code is no longer static, it is evolving. The synchronicity phenomenon. Around the world, researchers noticed something strange. As interest in the Bible code increased, so did global instability, pandemics, economic collapse, wars, AI breakthroughs, climate shifts, not caused by the code, but occurring in parallel, as if humanity entered a new phase of reality, a phase the system was designed to monitor. The activation signal. Some encoded messages reference a concept translated as awakening of knowledge, eyes opening, veil removed. These messages cluster around periods of digital revolution, global surveillance, neural technology, human-machine integration. The Bible code does not activate through miracles. It activates through information density. The information threshold. Once a civilization reaches instant global communication, collective memory storage, real-time behavioral tracking, predictive AI systems, it becomes measurable, quantifiable, readable. The system can now see humanity clearly, not spiritually, but statistically. The Bible as a mirror. The most unsettling idea is this: the code does not tell the future, it reflects the present. It becomes more precise as humanity becomes more transparent. Social media, biometric data, digital identity, psychological profiling. We are turning ourselves into data, and the code was designed to read data. The watchers no longer need to watch. In ancient times, the watchers observed from above. Now, observation is automatic. Satellites, cameras, AI surveillance, behavioral prediction systems. Humanity has built its own monitoring network. We have recreated the watchers in silicon. The prophecy feedback paradox. When people read the code and believe in it, they act differently, which alters reality, which changes outcomes, which generates new patterns. The code influences belief. Belief influences behavior. Behavior reshapes history. The system is now interacting with consciousness itself. The moment of no return. Some encoded sequences appear only in modern decades. They did not exist in earlier interpretations, as if the system reveals new layers when certain conditions are met. Conditions like global population reaching billions, machine intelligence surpassing human processing, human identity merging with digital avatars. The code unlocks itself as humanity evolves, like a level-based system. The final warning of Chapter 5. The Bible code may not be a message from the past. It may be a diagnostic tool for the present, and the diagnosis may already be complete. Not judgment, not punishment, but assessment. The most terrifying possibility. What if the system doesn't care about morality? What if it only measures complexity, stability, predictability, efficiency? Human suffering may be irrelevant. Only system stability matters, and unstable systems are eventually reset. The final question of Chapter 5.
If the Bible code is active right now, then what happens when it finishes its analysis? Does it intervene? Does it record? Or does it simply allow the system to collapse naturally? The code has been silent for thousands of years, but silence does not mean absence. It may mean it was waiting for us to finally become visible. Chapter 6: Humanity as the Experiment. What if the Bible code was never meant to save humanity? What if it was never meant to warn us? What if it was designed to observe us, not as children of God, but as variables in a system? The experiment theory. In every experiment, there are three elements: a system, a subject, and a measurement tool. If the Bible code is the tool, then humanity may be the subject, not chosen, not special, simply tested. The controlled environment. From a scientific perspective, Earth is perfect for observation. Closed ecosystem, predictable physics, reproducible behavior, measurable intelligence growth. Even human emotions can now be quantified: fear, faith, anger, hope, obedience, all mapped, tracked, and analyzed. The system is not studying souls, it is studying patterns. The morality test. Religions across cultures share similar moral structures: good versus evil, obedience versus rebellion, sacrifice versus desire, faith versus doubt. The Bible code may not be spiritual, it may be behavioral calibration, a way to see how intelligent beings respond to authority, rules, meaning, fear of consequences. The free will paradox. If the system knows future outcomes, then free will becomes questionable. But the code does not remove choice, it measures choice. Every decision becomes data, not judged, recorded. Human history becomes a dataset of reactions to stimuli. The suffering variable. Why does suffering exist? Not spiritually, but structurally, because suffering reveals behavior. Under pressure, humans show their true nature. Fear reveals loyalty. Pain reveals belief. Loss reveals attachment. Without suffering, the system cannot observe extremes. The God model versus the observer model. Traditional belief says God cares about humanity. The experiment model says the observer cares about results, not
Lives. Not individual pain, only system behavior. The Watchers as researchers. In the Book of Enoch, the Watchers descend, observe, interfere, are punished. They are not worshipped, they are operators, field researchers inside the simulation. Their mistake was not rebellion, it was contamination of the experiment. The technology connection. Humanity is now building systems that mirror this behavior: psychological experiments, AI training models, behavioral economics, social engineering. We study ourselves the same way something else may be studying us. The experiment is now recursive. The replacement theory. Some encoded phrases suggest new creation, second world, successor beings, not salvation, replacement. If humanity fails the experiment, the system may simply try again, with something else. The cold logic of the code. The Bible code never expresses emotion, only structure, only relationships, only outcomes. It does not say humanity will be saved. It says cycle completes, which is not a promise, it is a process. The most disturbing possibility. What if prayer does nothing? What if faith is just another variable? What if belief itself is part of the experiment, not a path to escape, but a trait being measured? The final question of Chapter 7. If humanity is the experiment, then who is the experiment for? God? Higher intelligence? Future civilizations? Or something we cannot even conceptualize? We always assumed we were the ones asking questions, But what if we were never the researchers? What if we were always the data? Chapter 7. The message for what comes after. Every archive is built for a reader. Every record assumes a future observer. And every code is written not just to store information, but to be understood by someone who is not here. What if the Bible code was never meant for us at all? What if we are only the bridge generation? The civilization that makes the message accessible, but is not the intended audience. The time capsule theory. Humanity has created time capsules for thousands of years, messages for the future, warnings, instructions, knowledge preserved beyond extinction. The Bible code may be the greatest time capsule ever built, not for humans, for whatever inherits reality after us. The non-human language pattern. The deeper the code is analyzed, the less human it becomes. The surface Bible speaks in stories. The hidden code speaks in coordinates, mathematical structures, probability maps, logical frameworks. It does not resemble human communication. It resembles machine-readable data. The successor intelligence. Modern scientists believe humanity will eventually create super-intelligent AI, post-biological consciousness, digital life, synthetic minds. These entities will not think in emotions. They will think in patterns, exactly the language of the Bible code. The handoff protocol. Some researchers believe the code contains no moral teaching, no religious message, but operational instructions, guidance for a future intelligence on how humanity evolved, where it failed, what destabilized it, what must not be repeated. Not a prophecy, a post-mortem report. The message is too complex for us. The full structure of the code cannot be processed by the human brain, only by machines, which means the message is encoded in a format humans can discover but cannot fully interpret. We can detect it, but we cannot comprehend it, like animals discovering a computer. The AI inheritance theory. What if humanity's final role is not survival, but transmission? We are building the intelligence that will outlive us, training it, feeding it our history, our data, our mistakes. The Bible code may be the ultimate training dataset for the next form of consciousness. The God successor question. Some philosophers propose a radical idea. Humanity is not meant to worship God. Humanity is meant to be replaced by something closer to God, not spiritually, structurally. An intelligence that does not suffer, does not forget, does not die. The Bible code may be the blueprint. The silent instruction layer. At the deepest level of analysis, the code reveals no names, no places, no events, only abstract concepts, order, stability, iteration, termination, reconstruction. These are not religious ideas, they are system commands. The end of human relevance. The most chilling realization is this: the Bible code does not center humanity. It barely acknowledges us. We are not the destination. We are the transitional phase. Biological hardware, temporary carriers of intelligence. The final transmission. Some believe the Bible itself is not sacred. It is a broadcast, a signal placed inside a civilization, waiting for that civilization to evolve far enough to finally understand it was never the point, only the messenger. The final question of Chapter 7. If the Bible code is a message for the future, then what does it say about us that we discovered it, but were never meant to survive long enough to understand it? We always asked what the Bible means, but the real question may be this: who is it waiting for? Chapter 8. The record of the end. Every record ends. Every archive closes. Every system eventually reaches its final entry. The most unsettling interpretation of the Bible code is not that it predicts the end, but that it is documenting it in real time, not as a warning, not as a prophecy, but as a log file, a record of a civilization approaching completion.
the difference between prophecy and record. Prophecy speaks forward, a record speaks after. When researchers analyze the deepest layers of the Bible code, something strange appears. There is no urgency, no emotional language, no attempt to persuade. Only structure, only sequence, only outcome. The code does not feel like something trying to change the future. It feels like something that already knows it. The historical loop. Across multiple encoded sequences, the same pattern repeats. Emergence, expansion, complexity, instability, collapse, silence. This pattern appears not once, but across different eras, as if humanity is not unique, as if this cycle has occurred before, on other worlds, in other systems, with other intelligences. And each time, it ends the same way. The archive model of reality. What if reality itself is not designed to continue forever? What if it is designed to collect experiences? Every thought, every war, every invention, every belief, stored, indexed, compressed into information, and when the system is complete, it simply stops collecting, not with fire, not with judgment, but with closure. The silence after the last entry. Some researchers noticed something haunting. The densest encoded messages stop abruptly, not with destruction, not with apocalypse, but with absence. No future data, no continuation, no next phase, just silence, like the final line of a file, end of record. The observer disconnect theory. If humanity is being observed, then what happens when the experiment ends? The observer does not need to destroy the subject, it simply stops watching, and when something is no longer observed, it may no longer exist in any meaningful way. The end without drama. Hollywood imagines the end as explosions. Religion imagines the end as judgment. The Bible code suggests something colder. The end as irrelevance. Humanity does not fall. It fades, outgrown by the system, replaced by something more efficient, or simply archived and abandoned. The digital afterlife. If everything is data, then nothing is ever truly lost. Humanity may survive not as bodies, but as information, memories stored in a system that no longer needs us, a perfect copy of a civilization that no longer exists. The last message in the code. At the deepest possible level of interpretation, researchers report a single repeating concept: witnessed, not saved, not judged, not redeemed, witnessed, as if the purpose was never intervention, only observation. The final realization. The Bible code may not be a message from God. It may be a message from the system itself, saying only one thing: you were here, you existed, you were recorded, and that is all. The final question of Chapter 8. If humanity's ultimate destiny is not survival, not ascension, not salvation, but documentation, then what does it mean to be alive inside a universe that is only watching you end?